Hello, my name's Phil and I work for the Customer Services Department at the Hozelock head office in Birmingham. With over 50 years horticultural expertise, we at Hozelock understand the rewards of gardening and want to help you get the best from your garden. So in this video I'm going to show you a few little tips and tricks that you can bear in mind when using your Hozelock pressure washers. The tips I'm going to give you are common across the range of pressure washers, but for the purpose of this demonstration we're just using the small compact 100. The first little tip is on the water inlet fitting, which is this clear fitting that screws onto the pressure washer here. Before you fit it, just make sure the sealing washer's in place and it hasn't fell out in the box. And then screw that to the inlet of the pressure washer and make sure that's nice and tight. If that's not tight, as the pressure washer is working, it'll suck air in and then the working will be very intermittent with the pressure washer. So make sure that that's nice and tight. The next little tip is with the spraying of water using the pressure washer. You've got a little lock on the trigger here, so if you find you can't depress the trigger, it's probably because this little red trigger lock button has been depressed. So just press it to the right hand side and you'll be able to depress the trigger. So the next tip is when you're using the pressure washer, you've got your hose pipe connected to the inlet at the front and it's all plugged in and ready to go. Before you even switch the motor on, using the little switch there, the first thing you should do is depress the trigger and let water run through the lance at normal tap pressure. Let this run for about 10 or 15 seconds and you'll probably hear air spluttering out of the end of it while you're depressing the trigger. That just lets all the air be purged from the system so that when you turn the pressure washer on, everything's all ready to work properly. With all the air removed, release the trigger so that the water flow stops and then turn the pressure washer on at the switch, at which time the motor will normally start up for a couple of seconds and then stop. You're then ready to spray. So the next tip, when you're using the pressure washer and you're actually spraying high pressure water, when you depress the trigger, don't pulse the trigger like that, every 1 or 2 seconds. When you depress the trigger, hold it in for at least 5 seconds before you release it. When you release it again, leave it released for at least 5 seconds before you depress it. This basically lets the pressure switch inside the pressure washer work properly and it doesn't start to perform erratically. So just to recap, when you press the trigger, you must keep it depressed and spraying for at least 5 seconds, and then when you release it, again leave it released for at least 5 seconds. So with the little compact 100, if you don't fancy bending over to pick it up and carry it back to your garage or your shed, you can leave the lance assembly connected, and if you put the lance into the central of the 3 storage channels in the back and clip the red clip across, you can then use the handle to tow the pressure washer along the ground with the wheels. So that saves you having to bend over and pick the thing up and carry it back to the garage. That's it, job done.